Hello and welcome to another edition of Grow Together, a new mini-series by Red Deer Public Library all about indoor and outdoor gardening. I'm your host, Matthew Kuhn, and today we are repotting plants. Today I've got St. Paulia, which is also known as an African violet, and a Haworthia succulent. Before we get to these, let's check in on the seeds that we started 2 weeks ago now. So our heirloom Manitoba Canadian strain is up and running, and these are going to live in here for a little bit longer until they're taller and have thicker stems, and that will be an entire video of repotting and making sure you are taking care of these before they get planted out. Our cherry tomato is the same, quite a bit of plants there. And let's also check in on another favorite of mine, carrot tops. These carrot tops are growing greenery that will shoot up very soon, and I'll eat lots of that, and then I'll plant these out like bulbs and have beautiful plants. Now let's get to repotting. Why would we repot plants? Well, as you can see here, a plant may be overgrown, and plants like African violets can actually survive on very little nutrients, and they keep on growing and growing and growing, and they split their crowns. So you can't see here, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 crowns in this, which is great, but the nutrient level of the soil now can't support all these crowns, so it's only producing a few flowers. Also, I put it in a window, and plants don't like to be moved sometimes, so it got a little bit burnt there, but that's fine. Or there could be another scenario where this has stopped growing. You could have a plant that has stopped growing because there's a mineral buildup in the soil. So if I pop this out right here, and let's see if we can see some. If you can see that little brown speck, that's a buildup of calcium and iron and most likely salt, which becomes poisonous and eventually halts growth. It would be as though we imagine you going to bed every night in a bed of salt. Would that be healthy for us? No, it's not healthy for plants. This is where they live. This is where they get all their nutrients. And lastly, we get new plants if we repot our old ones. So we have 4 crowns here. So we'll get 4 plants. We'll be able to propagate this. And looking at our succulent, you can see all the shoots coming out of here. We will get new plants from those. You'll get a full plant. It'll be a copy of that exact plant that you can give away or just make multiple of for your home. Today we won't be doing this one because I'm going to do another succulent video coming up here. So stay tuned for a succulent video. Let's get started with African violets. African violets like to split, as I mentioned, and have multiple crowns, and like to be pot bound, to be honest, but they cannot support this root ball cannot support this many plants. So what are we going to do? We are going to get some extra plant pots, some soil, and we are going to split this right now. So let's get started. I often don't use tools because I can just split apart a root ball. There's one. There's 2. And our third, if you can see right here, this crown is splitting off of this one, so we'll just plant this whole thing, or we could just actually snap off one and grow one crown, which I might actually do here. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. Let's get rid of this one. Oh, it did it for me. And I'll show you what to do with this, actually. So just some background on what I did with this plant. I soaked it last night to ensure that it had lots of water and the leaves were full, because this is going to shock the plant quite a bit. And we don't want that. We want it to be able to survive and have a good chance of thriving even after this. So what I'm going to do, what I always do, is I try to keep as much of the roots as possible, but if you can strip off a little bit, oh, and there we go. Already. The reason this is okay is roots will be able to form from this stem very easily. So what should I do with this crown? I am going to strip off as many of the lower leaves as possible to ensure that this has the best chance to survive. Okay, so let's fill up our pot, stick that stem in, fill it up again. It doesn't have to be centered, don't worry about it. We're going to be putting it in a plastic bag to maintain moisture and watering it to hopefully let this one survive. But if it doesn't, hey, we have 2 more right here. So, as I was saying, you can break off lots of this soil. If you ever need to actually repot African violet, you can buy African violet soil, but today I'm just using regular potting mix, which is high peat, and it works for me, so that's what I stick with. Even though this is beautiful and has roots in a root ball, I'm still going to snap off tons of these leaves because there'll be so much new growth we won't even notice this in a couple months. And I'm going to leave that much. So once again, you can bury up to this far in the stem, and that's okay. It has worked for me in the past quite a bit. Let's fill that with some soil. Usually it's not great to get soil or water on the leaves of African violets, but today I'm kind of rough and tumble and just getting the propagation and the repotting down. So there we go. And lastly, this is beautiful, but what am I going to do? I'm going to take out any of the flowers because the flowers are actually draining on the plant. And we need as much energy to go towards root growth as possible. So let's just take all these out, take off lots of the long stems on the lower, on the base of the stem. Because these will all wilt, and all these will be shocked, to be honest. But we will get a plant out of this one for sure, because we have quite a bit of roots here, and it looks like a quite healthy crown to begin with. Okay, and for this one, I'm just going to... Oh, you know what? We'll use the original pot, the one I got from Adult Literacy at the Dot Ranch. Pack that in. And there we go. For this crown, has no roots whatsoever. I can once again strip off all the lower leaves, stick that in water or again just in sand or in soil and put a plastic bag over top of it. It'll wilt, but it will probably pop roots out of that stem and maintain growth later on. So yeah, I'm not going to repot that one today, but that's a beautiful crown, so I will try to save it. Thank you for watching Grow Together. And if you want to connect with us, check out rdpl.org or find us on Instagram and Facebook. Listen to our podcast, Part of the Story, Red Deer Public Library's official podcast. And if you have a question about gardening, send me an email. I'd love to respond to what the public thinks I should be posting and what you guys are doing. Really, I'd love to hear gardening updates. Please leave a comment if you can, and have a great day.